Right, so in this video, we're going to be going over the exact strategies that we use inside our 7 and 8 figure accounts to generate the most amount of revenue coming from our cart and checkout abandonment flows. Now, to begin, I just want to clarify that cart abandonment flow and checkout abandonment flow are two separate flows. They have the same content, but they're two separate flows with different triggers and different dynamic blocks. A lot of times I see founders set up their checkout abandonment, but they don't set up their added to cart, which I don't understand why, since added to carts are people that are higher up in the funnel, which means that there could be more people for them to target. A lot of times, for example, the customer goes to your website, then they view a product, then they add to cart, then they start checkout, right? That's the order, that's the funnel. And a lot of times, founders only optimize for checkout abandonment and not necessarily add it to cart. It can be the same exact content, but it's just going to be different triggers. And a lot of times, I don't see people setting that up. As you can see, the cart abandonment trigger is just someone that added to cart. They added a SKU and walked. We have their email from a prior touch points, like a pop-up, their account, maybe they're already logged in, or a past order. Then we have the checkout abandonment trigger, which is just one click further, someone that starts the checkout but ends up not following through with it. The final thing that we're going to set up is a profile filter inside of the flows, which means that if someone purchases, we want to make sure that they exit that flow. Reason being is, imagine yourself, you're browsing your website, you find a product that you like, you add to cart, you see an abandonment email, you go and you purchase, and you still keep getting abandoned cart emails. That's just not going to make any sense, and it's going to hurt the customer experience. These people are already qualified. CAC is paid. They told you what they want by adding it, and no persuading needed. You just need to remove the friction that they have, or you need to tackle some sort of objection that they might have about the product. They're the highest intent. 70% of carts abandoned. Recovering even a slice of that is the easiest revenue lift in the whole email program. And like I mentioned before, no new ad spend. The CAC was already paid. So these are the hottest leads in your file aside from Welcome series. Welcome is your highest revenue flow overall. It nets brand new subscribers, but for recovery percent, nothing beats checkouts. The deeper they got in the funnel, the more viable they are. A lot of times, if the customer goes through your entire funnel and there's something at the very end that stopped them from buying, you need to address that ASAP, because that's when they're hot. That's when they're ready to buy, but something might have stopped them. Now, if we actually do a little bit of math, we can see how much recovering these carts will actually add to your bottom line. If you run the math on a typical $150K a month store, the recovered revenue from these two flows alone usually pays for the entire email program. On a $150K a month brand with a 3% size conversion rate, as you can see right here, if we recover 8 to 10% on abandoned carts and 15 to 20% on abandoned checkouts, which this could be the industry average, it's $8,500 a month recovered. And then on the checkout flow, it's $13,500 a month recovered, which in total is going to be $22,000 plus a month recovered. Two flows, $264K a year back into the business, and without having to spend extra money on acquiring the customers again. So now I'm going to be going over a little bit into what delays you should be using inside of your cart and checkout abandonments. This can be the exact same for both. The only thing that differs, like I mentioned before, is the dynamic blocks, because a lot of times platforms like Klaviyo and OmniSend have different variables in there, but it's different dynamic blocks, and as we mentioned before, different triggers as well. The first email we're going to send out to them after 30 minutes. Reason being, a lot of times 30 minutes is the sweet spot between them having to decide if they're going to get the product and actually abandoning the cart, okay? A lot of times 30 minutes can be good. However, if your brand has a higher AOV, like it's a higher ticket product like an ice bath or a sauna, you might want to increase this a little bit, just because it takes more than 30 minutes for that decision to be made, right? What I've seen also work well is on the same day, 2 hours after you sent that email, you can send another cart abandonment or cart recovery email. Reason being is, a lot of times this is when the customers are hot, right? The more time you wait, if you have like 1 day delay between each email, the customers are going to get colder and colder, and a lot of times you might as well just message them ASAP and be as aggressive as possible. Of course, it's going to depend a little bit on what brand you want to portray, but a lot of times having 2 emails on the same day for cart abandonments doesn't hurt the brand, and only improves conversion rates and only improves actually getting those customers to come back and purchase. Then the third email, you can send them 24 hours later. Then the fourth email, we're going to send them 24 hours after the third one. And the last one is going to be 24 hours after the fourth one. This is going to depend a lot on your brand, and it's going to depend on your AOV and your ticket size, because a lot of times for bigger products, you might want to do a bigger time delay. And for impulse buys, you can have way shorter time delays, right? And then if you have fashion where it's drops, if you sell out in the same day, there's no way you should be even waiting 24 hours, right? You should do it instantly and send them the reminder of their cart being abandoned like 5 to 10 minutes after. One thing that I do want to note is you don't want to fire too fast. An email at more or less 5 minutes feels surveilled, and a lot of times these customers are still browsing or shopping for their product. So it can work, but it's a very aggressive strategy. 30 minutes is a sweet spot. 2 emails on day one. 30 minutes and 2 hours outperforms only 1 email. And for the very final email, which I didn't mention before, it can be a discount email, right? A lot of times if the customer hasn't bought, that could mean that there's an objection that they need to overcome, correct? So you can leave that to the end, because a lot of times if you just overcome objections like shipping, FAQs, things along those lines, it's going to be enough to get them to convert. And then if they don't convert, that means that there's probably the price, which you can then offer that to them at the very end, just so you don't erode margins. So this is what each email is going to contain. Number 1 is going to be just a brief reminder. Number 2 is going to be a reminder from the founder. Number 3 is going to be USPs and objection handling. Number 4 is going to be social proof. Number 5, you're going to introduce a discount. And number 6, you can do like a final urgency on that discount. So here are 5 rules that you should follow for every email inside of this flow. Number 1, 1 job per email. You want to pick the single objection or angle. If you can't name it in 4 words, the email is muddy. A lot of times you want to just tackle one specific objection, unless you're doing an FAQ email, which can also perform very well. But you want to just make sure that it's 1 angle per email. You don't want to remind them that their cart is there and then talk about your FAQ and then give shipping times and then like an us versus them. You want to just make it as clean and as simple as possible for the customer to digest. Every email should have the dynamic cart block, which what happens is Klaviyo or Omnisend can pull the data of what they've left behind and make it show up in the email. So I'd recommend doing that a lot. It increases conversions. Number 3, you want to frame it as ready to ship and not as something that they forgot, because a lot of times if they forgot something, it just sounds like more work to have to go back to the cart and then think about the decision again and then purchase, rather than just it's already ready to go. Like it's already here, it's ready to go. All you have to do is just click. Discount last, not first. A lot of times, if you just overcome some objections in the first couple of emails, it's going to be enough to get the customers to convert, rather than giving them a discount right away and then eroding your margin. Number 5, conversion exits. A lot of times you don't want to be sending emails to customers who have just bought, especially cart abandonment emails to customers who have just bought, right? Like we want them to get hit with a post-purchase flow and not this. So make sure that the customers are exiting the flow once they buy. Now let's go into each email individually so we can go over exactly what you can do for your brand as well. So email number 1, we're going to talk about your order is ready to ship, like just a brief reminder. They're distracted, got pulled away by life, kid, doorbell, whatever. Don't sell, just put the SKU back in front of them and frame that the order is ready to go and not just abandoned. As you can see, this is what it should look like. Headline, dynamic cart block, single CTA, and then a couple of guarantees. And here are some subject lines that also typically perform quite well. Do not lead with a discount. A lot of times, if you discount first, it can hurt your LTV in the long run, because customers who just, this is just a side note, but customers who only buy with a discount a lot of times end up messing up your LTV. But don't also do fake urgency, and don't do a long brand story. Save it for email 3 or email 2 where's the founder talking. Email number 2 is just going to be a founder email, and a lot of times just a brief reminder is going to be enough to get them to convert. They're on the fence, they saw email 1 and didn't bite. The intent now is connection, strip out design, write like a human, send from the founder's name. It lands in the primary inbox more, like it slices through all of the distraction that the customer has in the inbox. And a lot of times it's better than design-based emails for deliverability. As you can see, this is just an example, but a lot of times you're going to want to play around with the copy and see how it would fit best for your brand. Email number 3 is going to be USPs and overcoming objections. A lot of times the customers don't know all of your USPs, and they need to understand why your product works or why your product works for them. And so this email serves that purpose of objection handling them to get them to actually convert. For example, if they're unsure that it will fit them, and this is something that you need to figure out with your brand, what are the most common objections that customers are having? We can give them a sizing guide, best for X, UGC on different body types, before and after, etc. Can I trust them? Founder story, press, 30-day returns, 4.8 stars from 4,200 reviews, just some social proof. Is it worth the price? Do the cost per math is it worth the price? Use cost per use. Is it worth the price? Use cost per use math. Materials breakdown. Why we don't cook corn? We don't. Is it worth the price? So if your brand is more on the high end, a lot of times you can do the cost per use math. Materials breakdown. What we don't cut corners on. Just show that you're of higher quality. If they're not in a hurry to buy now, then a lot of times you want to introduce some sort of urgency, right? Like low stock signal, just how it won't arrive on time for a big event if they don't order now. Things along those lines, because if they don't see the urgency in buying, then a lot of times they don't really need to buy. Email number 4 is social proof. A lot of times you can just give away 3 to 5 reviews. You can do some UGC, and you can do press awards if you have any press or awards to be shown inside of the emails. Email number 5 is when we introduce the discount. A lot of times you could probably swap the discount for some sort of free gift. A lot of times it feels generous, raises perceived AOV, and is pretty cheap in terms of COGS. Or you can also offer free shipping if it's not already there. It kills the number one cart abandonment objection. And if you must, offer them 10% off or 20% off or whatever discount you're comfortable with to get them to convert if the price was a major objection. And the very final email of this flow is going to be making sure that the customer knows that there's urgency in the discount. We want to make sure that they use it right away so that they don't lose it. You can create that fake scarcity, or you can use real scarcity. A lot of times real scarcity is better because it trains the customer to know, okay, if I don't buy it now, then it's actually going to close, and it's not going to just be a fake scarcity. Like, it's not still going to be there. There's always a reason why they didn't convert. A lot of times it's not that they just forgot to buy, but they maybe got distracted, maybe something didn't line up with them. So here are a couple objections and what you can actually use to overcome those objections inside of the emails. If they got distracted, right, like doorbell rang, kid screamed, Slack ping, they wanted it, life happened mid-checkout, we're going to be using the email 1 as a reminder to get them back onto the website and to get them back to their cart. If they're worried about the fit, then we can talk about the sizing. For skincare, we can do the skin type. For tools, we can do a use case. If they're not sure that it's right for their specific situation, that's what we can handle in the objection handling email or the USPs email, which is going to be email number 3. If they've never heard of you, and a lot of times your brand is all on problem aware or solution aware, and they're not really aware of your product, or they're most aware, then you want to talk about social proof, and you want to give us a little bit of an intro from the founder, because a lot of times that's what's going to build that authority and that trust to get them to then buy from you. If they're comparing you between another competitor, then a lot of times you can just do an us versus them email, and that can perform pretty well because it shows the differences between other competitors that you might have, and then of course you. If the price is the main objection that they're having, then a lot of times you can just offer an incentive for them to convert, right? It's not that difficult. Usually, if you've overcome all of the other objections, then the price is the last one. And a lot of times, if you just offer them an incentive, they're going to be able to convert. So here are a few subject lines that actually convert. You can pause the video to see and to save it to whatever you want to do. Number 1, your order is ready to ship. The single highest converting subject line in the source playbook frames the cart as already decided, just waiting on a green light. Number 2, we held a spot for you. Number 3, shipping is on the house. This is free shipping if you can actually offer free shipping. 4,200 people agree with you. This is good for social proof. 30 days to change your mind. It restates the return policy as a feature. It's best for higher AOV considered purchases. A quick note from the founder: always performs really well because it's very, very personal. And a lot of times customers like to buy from people. They like to buy from personal things rather than just big corporate brands. Only 6 left in your size. This is good because it creates that urgency, or you can do stock, or you can mention the shipping times as well, which can be really, really good. Another urgency one, like 10% offense tonight. This is for the final email only, where we're offering the incentive, but these always perform really, really well. If the customer needs a reason to buy, and if they have the reason to buy and they're not buying, it's because we need to create that urgency. Now, to summarize, here's the spine of the whole strategy. Cart and checkout abandonments share one flow, same 6 emails, same timing, only the trigger and the deep link change. Number 2, first email fires at 30 minutes. Default cadence is 24 hours between emails, stretched to 48 only after an urgency play. Number 3, 6 emails, 1 job each. Email 1, reminder. Email 2, founder plain text. Email 3, USPs. Email 4, social proof. Email 5, urgency and an optional discount. And email 6, final call. Discount only fires if every earlier email is missed and never on top of a live sale. Number 4, prefer free gift, free shipping, or one-click checkout over flat percentage off. Same nudge, more margin. And number 5, track recovery rate, not just attributed revenue. Now, I hope this video was helpful. These are the strategies that we use inside of our 7 and 8 figure accounts as well. If you're doing over 80K a month and you want us to give you a free audit, feel free to check the link in the description. I'll leave a link where you can just book in a call to speak with us directly. And if you found this video was helpful, feel free to leave a like as well, and I'll see you guys in the next one.